My name is Randy Martin. I'm a partner in a company called MLR Forestry. I brought along my two partners this year. It's Sergio Rios and Tom Lau. We're the three developers of MLR Forestry. And we started thinking about a sustainable forestry project back in 2006. And it kind of evolved, and now we've actually done it. So I'm pretty proud of what we've done. We've created a business that ultimately will have 5,000, I should advance this. Yeah, eventually have 5,000 hectares in teak and cacao. And we funded the project. We worked to IFC standards. This year we moved from a development project to actually an operating project. And you know, this stuff takes a long time. You know, we started thinking about it in 2006. It's now 2023, okay? We're a lot older now, but we did it, and it's actually pretty cool. We've invested $60 million in this, $40 million from the three of us, and we did it as we needed a sustainable business in this part of Nicaragua that was, you know, it's remote, it's poor, but it was an area that we wanted to see some sustainable business for the future as a part of other businesses that we were doing there. And we've done the carbon credit thing, and a little later on in the slideshow, we'll show you about diversity, you know, this, what is it called, Sergio? Biodiversity? Biodiversity. So, you know, we're really practical guys. So I'm going to try to go through this quickly because I'd like to get some feedback and questions about our project. Now, you're going to ask me why Nicaragua. The obvious ones are really simple. You know, it's a low-cost area, there's lots of land, there's cheap labor, you know, all those things that you would think about, tax incentives. But you're going to ask me, well, what about the politics, right? Well, all of Latin America is complicated, right? So you deal with it. I've been there 30 years. I've dealt with it for 30 years. So it's no more complicated than any other country, really. I mean, all of Latin America changes every day. It's complicated here in the United States. So, you know, you just gotta deal with it, and that's what we've always done. Oops, that's okay. That's okay. Anyway, like I said, Nicaragua for us, it's a great country. We care about the people that live in the places that we work. We care about our employees, so we deal with it. As far as a little bit more, as far as on this slide, what I want to really say is look at the tax incentives, and you get a 50% reduction in your income tax, and you get a 50% reduction in your municipal tax. So the tax thing is good. You can repatriate capital. You know, none of it's ever been a problem. And if you look at Nicaragua as far as fiscally, they pretty well manage their economy on a fiscal basis. And the Minister of Finance is a pretty good guy. Next slide. So, got to keep up with this. So, you know, we own all the land that we have. We purchased about 5,000 hectares of land in Nicaragua. We've developed our own teak clone, which is pretty cool. So we have a really good, fast-growing teak clone that we do use. We've done the carbon credit thing, and they've been approved by, I think, one of the organizations that's here, actually, right? Yeah. So, and we keep about 25% of the land that we buy has to go into conservation. So we do this biodiversity thing as well. So, you know, we're doing all the right things. Now to finish the operation, we want to purchase another 2,000 hectares of land. Like I said, we have our 1.1 million tons of carbon credits that have been certified. We do the two crops on the same land on some of it. This year we'll finish planting all of our cacao. So we'll have 1,300 hectares of cacao, which is using teak as a shade tree. And then the other, let's see, the other 30-some hundred hectares will be just pure teak. And the teak benefits from the cacao because of how we take care of the cacao plants. So that's another good thing. Moving on, that's the expansion plan. Okay, so the environmental plan, again, we're doing all these things out of this biodiversity management plan, which we just heard a lot about just a few minutes ago. And you know, the other cool thing that we've done, if you look on our website, we have, Sergio's created these books of our plants, of our wildlife, of our, what he said, butterflies as well we have. So we've done a lot of these things already. And maybe we were a little bit ahead of our time when we started in 2006, but I think we've done the right thing. We've already made all of our mistakes. We have the, let's see, is this the picture of the, that's the picture of the environmental plan. I'll keep going here. And then that nice word that we just talked about, the biodiversity conservation, we have, you know, 1,400 hectares here that we have under this biodiversity. Moving on. And I think for me, you know, the socially responsibility plan, you know, this is something that from the beginning when we started working in Nicaragua in the early 90s, our thoughts were always that we would invest in education, health, and nutrition. And you do that because then you have a good workforce. So we've always believed in that. We've built numerous schools, we've built clinics, we've built water systems, we've done all kinds of things throughout Central America because that's really what gives you a good workforce. As well as a lot of infrastructure work in roads and housing. So we do that. Going on a little bit more on the teak, this is how we plant. I said we started using clones back in 2014, and we now have our own clone that we have developed, and we can harvest that in 16 years' time. So that makes the process a little bit more profitable. We've done the FSC certification, and you see here in the next picture, I hope. Yep, here's our sawmill that we've finished constructing last year. And starting in 2020, what was it, 2026, 2024, we started harvesting, planting on previously harvested land. And then, let's go on to the next slide. And cacao, a little bit about cacao. Again, we've created our own clones. This year, we will have planted 1,300 hectares, and that's the extent of what we want to do on the cacao. That's it right there. And we focus on what's called fine cacao, and we have highly productive clones. And we built the plant for processing in a tax-free zone within the area where we have our base camp. This just shows you a picture of how the cacao grows in the teak and provides the shade for the cacao plants. The carbon credits have been certified. We have a little over 1 million tons for 40 years. We have about 150,000 tons of carbon credits that we need to sell this year, actually. So we're working on that. A little bit on the financing. We as shareholders have put in $40 million. In addition, we have an agreement with FinFund and FMO, two development banks from Europe, and that we have $20 million of debt that we've taken on, and we pay them 2% interest and accrue 3%. Once or if we eventually sell the project, they will get an uptick on the return based on however much money we make. If we make nothing, they don't get any additional, right? So if we get lucky, they get lucky. Just review it really quick, because again, I want to get questions and feedback from you guys. At steady state, which should be, what year, Tom, should we be at steady state? 2027? 2027, 2030, we'll be producing 65,000 cubic meters of teak and 2,100 tons a year of cacao. But like I said, the project's fully funded. This year we're cash flow neutral. Going forward here, you know, the financing's done. This is a teak harvest. I think that's about everything, yeah. So anyway, what I'd like to do is, the reason I got my two partners here, because they know a lot more than I know about forestry, or at least I think they know a lot more. And I'd like to get some feedback and questions, and you might ask why we're here. Well, we're here because we've been doing this, like I said, since 2006, we started this. And what we like to do is build a project and then sell it and move on. You know, we're just like an investment bank. We want to liquefy, we want to eventually move on to another project. So we're looking for people to invest in this project so that we can move on to the next project. So I'll take some questions now, and hopefully some good questions. Any questions? There we go. There's one. You got to squeeze it, I bet. There you go.
That's a fabulous project. One question, and by the way, 65,000 cubic meters, you're going to be the largest producer of teak in the world.
I hope not. No, can't be. No, no.
So anyways, how much of the environmental permit or environmental credits or carbon credits underwrite the investment? What percentage?
Zero right now, isn't it, Tom?
We haven't sold any credit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going forward, we'll sell, hopefully,
Just hold it to your mouth.
hopefully we'll sell 50,000 credits per year going forward. That's más o menos sort of thing. So you'll have to tell us what the price is, because I don't know.
No, I don't know the price, but I think that's the point.
Yeah.
You did
Exactly.
well with that. You did well commercially. You had a commercial idea. I think that's the point.
Yeah.
You got another comment, Susan?
Yeah, we basically, it is part of the financial plan, and we do need that, that income in the following years. But so far, we haven't, we only got the first initial 15,000, and yeah, approved, and that, and also we're starting in this biodiversity plan to try to figure out what else to do with our conservation areas.
Well, I know there's more questions than that. There were last time. There's one. Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, great. Hey, great project. A long time ago, I used to work in the cashew sector, and just a lot of love for the agroforestry projects. I was curious, kind of looking at these like agroforestry projects that have a certain percentage in conservation of different kinds. I was wondering if you could go into a little more detail on that. Is it like a buffer area, you know, around streams, just kind of what you're monitoring in terms of species and regrowth? I'm just really interested to see how these kind of mixed use projects can show that environmental benefit.
Okay. Basically, what we've done is there's about 30% in conservation area of the whole project. That comes around to 1,400 hectares. So yes, you do hills areas where you had a little bit of forest. These are degraded land, mostly pastures. So, but there were still a little bit of areas that you needed to conserve near ravines, rivers, et cetera, and areas that to try to get, since the start, where our consultants told us, I mean, you need to keep about 25%. So we're roughly in the 28, 29% area. And when we started last year with the biodiversity project, the whole deal was, okay, we have this 1,400 hectares, and we're not touching it because they're conservation area, right? But when you were looking at it, it really wasn't developing. You know, it wasn't really doing anything. So we say, well, if we're leaving this 1,500 hectares, 1,400 hectares, you know, we might as well invest in them so we really get a kick out of having those areas. So we started to working with the London-based consultancy and with the help of FinFund. And what we did is we did a lot of work on, okay, what can we do to improve in those areas? So we designed a grid of local plants to do, so we cannot, I mean, like umbrella trees and trees for feeding and etc. So we established that kind of grid so we can attract biodiversity to the area. And then we established a plan for the next 22 years to actually monitor, and I know that you guys were talking about in the panel before, how to actually monitor the growth of the biodiversity in those areas. So that's basically what we're doing. And it's not really easy because you don't have like a blueprint of how to do it. But we go, you know, we advance 2 feet and we go back 1, and but you know, it is going. At least we started last year with the first 50 hectares. So what we are planning right now, that is because probably lack of a little bit of money to invest in it. So what we're planning is 50 hectares per year, you know, up to we get to what we want. Also, my guess is that after this 50 hectares that we planted in 2022, we'll learn enough to do it better in 2023 and so on and so forth. But we do monitor in the whole plantation all the biodiversity. And that's one of the things that we do is that because we have night traps and we have a specialist dedicated to follow it and in the company, and we do publish books we have published basically because that area of Nicaragua is very poor. So for the schools and the universities and the local community to really understand what they have in terms of birds, of animals, butterflies, et cetera, and they're pretty interesting. If you go to the website mlr.com.ni, you can download it. I mean that you get it's very interesting.
Oh, here we go.
Very interesting. This may be a question more for the audience than for you, but as a sort of a relatively early mover in this commercial agricultural investment and biodiversity, how long do you think it will be before banks started building in biodiversity requirements for any commercial agricultural investment opportunity?
Well, I think with and Tom can answer this, I think with FinFund and FMO, that was from the start, right?
Yeah, as we said, we raised $20 million with FMO and FinFund, and one of the main attractions for them was our social and environmental and social impact in the areas that we were working in. It was for development banks, it's one of the key drivers in their investing in the companies. So from a bank's perspective, it's already there. Well, yeah, well, as
I don't think they would have invested in this unless we had done what we had done.
absolutely, it's one of the key items that the development banks look at, and part of our loan document was a list of items that we had to achieve and other items that we have to maintain, and annually and quarterly we have to report against those standards that we have. So Yeah, it's always been, or with FinFund and FMO, it's a critical item. It was as important as the financial side of the business, so.
Go ahead.
As a two-species plantation, are you exposed to any risk of pests hindering your operations? And if so, how do you mitigate those risks?
Well, this is agriculture. I mean, this is agroforestry. So yes, you are exposed. There's no trans-species transfer between teak and cacao, nevertheless. But yes, you have that exposure to, especially cacao. You have numerous issues that you have to monitor and keep doing. And most of those, you do it keeping the right amount of light and wind coming into your cacao plantations, because that's probably fungus are the biggest problem. Teak, you really is a very sturdy tree, and you don't really get. Steve here can attest to that. He's a specialist in teak, but you know, we take all the measures necessary and try to get ahead of what we're doing.
One of the key factors is just constant monitoring, and day by day. That's the key.
I want to thank everybody for listening to our presentation. The three of us will be around today and tomorrow, so if anybody would like to get together with us, talk about our project, talk about biodiversity, talk about carbon credits, we're gonna be here. So thank you very much.